Hello, Paul. Do you like scary movies? My name is Jason, and I am the final girl of the last movie rental establishment in the goddamn universe. I'm also 1/3 of the slashers, which is wrapping up its comprehensive, if not exhaustive, review of the subgenre throughout the entirety of the 1980s. 1980, 1981, 1982. I know that's not how you say it. Don't correct me, god damn it. I'm going to be talking about Scream 7. It's apropos of everything. I'm not going to get into the controversies. I'm not going to get into the production turmoil, except to say that I think the fingerprints of the production turmoil are evident in this film. But I'm telling you now that I'm going to deviate from what I believe is the forming consensus on the film, which has as much to do with the circumstances that led to its creation in this existent form that you'll find at your local multiplex, as it does the merit and quality of the film itself. I'm simply going to engage with the content itself. And here's what I'm going to say. The opening of the film, these Scream movies and their cold opens. The cold open of the film is a representative sample of the entirety of the film. Here's what I mean. Good performances, good dialogue, decent setup, and then you're waiting for that classic Scream cleverness or that legacy sequel Scream pizzazz, for lack of a better term. And that sort of viciousness that these movies sometimes have. And the movie tries and falls short, while yet delivering on the premise and delivering on the characterization and the dialogue. You're waiting for the next gear. You're waiting for that next level. You're waiting for that zip, and it just never arrives. And so what you walk away from going, well, that's okay. That's an okay, cold open. It's definitely not it's not the loopiest, it's not the wackiest, it's not the most meta, it's not the most high concept, it's not the most like borderline eye rolling, because that's always been an element to, especially the later Scream sequels. I think anything past 2, there's been this like sense of, even 2, there is this sort of like, there's an eye roll, right? Because that was part of the appeal of, I think, even the original Scream, is that it's kind of rolling its eyes, ironically, at the previous decade slasher boom. It's kind of going, okay, all right, this is stupid. And then it's subverting that by then making a slasher that is thrilling or scary or entertaining or whatever, right? And so as the characters are rolling their eyes at the tropes of slasher films, they are being subjected to either those tropes or new tropes, as it would come to be. So we're 7 in, man. And you have this difficulty when you're 7 in, which is how do I balance all these characters and introduce a new range of victims? This is a slasher problem. This is not even just a Scream problem. It's a slasher franchise problem for sure. How do I introduce all of these characters, make them something more than lambs for the slaughter, give them distinct enough personalities, and that they stand in some kind of a contrast and are memorable enough in contrast to the 6 other casts that we've had before. And we also have the burden of, and how do we incorporate legacy characters, both from the original series and I guess now from the reboot series, from the trilogy that never finished. How do we do that? Who do we bring back? obviously politics, production woes aside, just literally from a screenwriting perspective, how do we do it? The movie makes a choice it was forced to make, which was to pay Neve Campbell a shit ton of money to get her to come back. And that is the movie's, I would argue, saving grace. Kevin Williamson knows Sidney Prescott, Sidney Evans in this film, better than any other character in this series, as does Neve Campbell. I think that argument could be made that Neve Campbell delivers her best Sidney Prescott performance in Scream 7. I think everything, basically up until the ghost face shit, everything up to that point is believable and some of the best characterization for Sidney Prescott. I think some of the themes and some of the ideas that it sets up between her and her daughter, who is not Sarah Chalk, but she's also not Jennifer. I was going to say Jennifer Love Hewitt, but no, she's also not Jennifer Lawrence. Oh, goddamn, if she doesn't look and sound like her sometimes. Only sometimes, though. Very, very distracting. There's a story there. And what it feels like is it feels like we have 4-star performances from Joel McHale, who maybe delivers his best performance, and Neve Campbell and a couple other actors in the film. 4-star performance. 100% 4-star characterization for Sidney. And so much meat on the table. So much that they could do. There's like a theme that they could really have sunk their teeth into, a couple of them. And then we get like 2.5-star direction and 2 stars for cleverness. Now, I'm going to come out of the closet here a little bit. Much like Billy Loomis, I guess. Here's the closet I'm coming out of. I guess it's not really a closet because I think I recorded an instant reaction. I hated Scream 6. Fucking hated it. I'm more mixed on 5. I like some of the sadism. That's a weird thing to say. Some of the cheekiness, some of the reinvention of the glibness, I guess I kind of like. But overall, I found 5 and 6 to be effervescent messes. I found it to be a lot more sizzle than steak, and I thought they were honestly pretty much out of fucking ideas by 6. I thought 6 was insulting to the audience's intelligence, and I cringed in my fucking chair throughout most of it. I hated it. I hated 6. I find it try hard and cringy, and I find most of the characters from 5 and 6, including Billy Loomis's bastard daughter, just to be just a fucking asinine character to even write. That's my take. That has nothing to do with the performers or the performances. I found the whole thing to be just fucking junk. And especially 7 or 6. It didn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. The tone wasn't right. And again, if you're a younger person and you're sort of like, okay, or you're somebody's like, I'm ready for a reshuffling of the deck, as it were, and let's do something new with this series. I hear you. That wasn't my issue with it. My issue wasn't its desire to be creative and its desire to do new things and break new ground, as it were. My issue with it is I thought it had all the right energy, but was really fucking dumb. I don't think this movie is dumb. I think in a way, Kevin Williamson is a better writer, and I forget the name of the gentleman who helped him write this one, and the two folks who have story credits. I think this is a smarter movie that could use the energy of 5 and 6. If you took the energy of 5 and 6 and the tone and the characterization and the humanity of 7, and you put them together, you have a 4.5-star Scream movie. And instead, we've got 6 which has a lot of pizzazz, but is stupid. And we've got 7, which has some smarts, but isn't very clever. And it certainly isn't very funny. It's a kind of a middle-aged Scream. So my sense of it is that people who really like the direction of 5 and 6, especially young people who made up the bulk of my sold-out audience today, are probably going to be fairly mixed on it. It's going to feel like your mom's Scream. And that's honestly like kind of baked into the movie, and it's the benefit of this movie that it has those existing meta qualities to it, where you can sort of comment on it. The movie makes, I think, a very smart decision by not really disavowing the sequels at the 5 and 6 at all. It leaves the door open for some of those characters who do not appear here in case things need to be patched up or get patched up down the line. Don't know if they will, but it leaves that open. And so in many ways, this feels like a bridge movie to, we don't know really where this series is going, but we have an opportunity to kind of make good with Neve Campbell and bring in trusted hands to deliver a movie that's good enough to keep the franchise moving, because we need to deliver Scream 7. This is nobody's original plan. This was not in the works for anybody. This was not something any of these people were going to do, but we've thrown enough money their way, and they have come together, and I think between Williamson and the cast, they've put together a film that is as good as could be expected under the circumstances. That being said, the movie really starts to fall apart at a certain point. There's a scene between a group of characters, and those are the scenes that Williamson, when he was younger, kind of excelled at, of having an ensemble cast sit around in a closed location, all of them red herrings, all of them potential ghost faces, all of them potential killers or accomplices to the killers, or potential victims, and let's do cheeky, clever, quippy, glib, sardonic, ironic, self-aware shit. And the movie doesn't do that, which is fine, because it's like, okay, we can transition away from that a little bit, but you got to do something else. You got to do something else. And instead we get kind of this kind of half-hearted version of a Randy speech that gets commented on, of like, isn't this a little played out? And then but it doesn't really go anywhere. And it's just missing the spark. Now, that being said, let's get down to the kills. I think some of them are conceptually, it's missing the style. It's missing Wes Craven's style and his cinematographer's style. So there's some kills that are on paper that you go, oh, that could be really good. There's one in particular that's like, that could be a Giallo style, Argento inspired all-time classic. There's a couple of things here or there where you go, oh, there's a couple of sequences where you go, that could be cheeky, that could be clever, that could be, and the setup is there. There's just something missing in the execution. There's something missing in the visual presentation, the craft, the direction. So it's another area that falls kind of flat. I won't get into spoilers, but when we get the killer's motivation, it's almost there. It's like, again, it's kind of half baked. It's another one of those things where you go, I bet you if you had another year, 6 months, a year, or another writer to step in, I bet you could have got this across the line. It's really interesting. And I find it to be, I think, what they were intending to be exceedingly relevant. And it's a commentary on both where the horror genre has been and where like influencer culture has gone. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. And I thought, okay, there's some biting satire. There's some Scream style, melodramatic, soap opera, over the top satire here that you could do. And they don't. I think that actor delivers a performance that's like worthy of one of the older Scream movies, one of the originals. In terms of like, okay, I think you're nailing the tone. And so I think like there's this weird feeling where they want to mature the series, or the cast and crew have just matured, so they're being more true to who they are, which is a middle-aged Scream. You still got to kind of try to appeal to this new generation of fans, but you got hardly any of the characters from the new generation of Scream. You got a couple, and then you're like have to bring in a couple legacy characters other than Nev Campbell. And how do you get Courtney Cox and this person and that person? How do you get all this working together in a way that doesn't feel bloated and feels like grown up, but not derivative, but not boring? And I don't think that they fully get there. That being said, I think there was enough to this movie that I enjoyed my time in the theater. There was nothing in this movie that made me mad. There was nothing in this movie that made me roll my eyes. I didn't find it even particularly boring. I thought it was kind of interesting, and it felt half baked in some areas. So if I have certain elements which I think are like kind of high points for the series, and I wouldn't say low points, but are approaching low points for the series, then it puts me in a middle ground with my score. So again, if you're like deeply in the bag, like somebody like Paul, okay, Paul's gonna hate this movie. But somebody who's deeply in the bag for 5 and 6 is going to fucking hate this one. Somebody who has followed all of the discourse around fucking Nev Campbell over and then needing her at the 11th hour to get a movie over the line and like all this shit, they're probably going to hate this movie. What I kept thinking to myself was, in a world where I've sat through the fucking It's a Wonderful Knife and fucking Hard Eyes, and all of these like glib horror wannabe slasher comedies, I kind of like the more mature route that Scream 7 took. I just think it needed to be paired with some younger pizzazz. That's the only word I can think of. It's an old timey word, but it just needed a little bit more sadism. It needed a little bit more cleverness. It needed more of that. Of what a younger Williamson brought to the series and what a Wes Craven brought to the series, and even what the last creative crew brought to the series. Even though in general I didn't like the characterizations or dialogue or plot of those movies, I did think the energy was very good and was there. And the energy is lacking in this one. So I got my 4-star elements, I got my 2-star elements. I liked it. I was happy with it. It's a satisfying entry, if not a remarkable one. I'm going to give it 3 stars. It's right in the middle for me. I see what it could have been. Maybe I'm grading it too high on a curve in that direction, but it feels like something it just didn't quite crisp up in the oven. I know you probably hate this movie if you've seen it, because I think that's going to be the consensus. I think this one might end up being like the new most hated Scream by a certain segment. I'm not saying that, I don't know, maybe this is my Last Jedi. I don't know. I'm going to die on the hill that I liked it. I thought it was okay. I give it 3 stars. I think you should watch it. You can tell me I've lost my mind in the comments below. All right, folks. Thank you so much. Last ranking episode's coming out. Audio essays in the works. More shit in the works. Slashers finale in the works. Wrapping up this podcasting gig. What remains to be seen in the future? Will there be more slashers to come? Will binge movies transform? Am I even in my final form? I don't know. About to go level 9,000 in this bitch. Till next time, binge on.